The FIA came under fire recently for hiring Toto Wolff's former special advisor, Shaila-Ann Rao, but she's defended her appointment and made it clear that there is no favouritism going on. This is the backdrop of the latest battle between team boss Toto Wolff and Christian Horner. As Mercedes start looking like a competitive team again, the two are back in direct competition and it shows. Let me get you up to date on the FIA's response to allegations of favouritism and how the battle between two of the biggest names in F1 is developing. Shaila-Ann Rao was appointed as the Interim Secretary General of Motorsport at the FIA just before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. She had previously worked at the organisation as a legal director, but moved away to work with Mercedes and Toto Wolff instead. She worked as General Counsel for the team from 2018 until her appointment with the FIA in 2022, as well as a special advisor to team principal Toto Wolff. Her flip-flopping from the FIA to Mercedes and back caused them raised eyebrows in the paddock and had team bosses questioning the efficacy of the appointment. Ferrari boss Mattia Binotto was one of those who questioned whether Shaila-Ann Rao could be unbiased in her new role considering her employment history. On the concern of Shaila-Ann, yes, certainly it's a concern, Binotto said. She's a great person, she's got a lot of experience, she will certainly be capable of doing the job. I'm pretty sure on that. It's a concern, but only a concern. It's down to them to make sure there will be no conflicts of interest at all, to behave properly. And it's down to the president to ensure it. I've got to trust they will do it. As Ferrari, it's a concern. I'm pretty sure that through the behaviours, through the decisions, they will prove it's a wrong concern. He is correct. This is definitely the responsibility of the FIA to prove that their staff can be impartial and uninfluenced by their previous allegiances and commitments. Of course, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and Rao has shown nothing to suggest she cannot perform her role in a fair and proper manner. Before I worked for Mercedes, I was Director of Legal Affairs at the Federation, Rao told the media. The world of F1 is like that. You go from one team to another. It is full of execs of something. Even F1 President Stefano Domenicali is ex-Ferrari. But I don't worry about certain rumours. I move on and continue to do what I've always done, work. Her appointment came at a time when the FIA was trying to implement rule changes for the 2022 season that would help the teams handle porpoising. The changes were seen by many teams to heavily favour Mercedes, who have struggled the most with the phenomenon, and Red Bull and Ferrari were the loudest of many teams to point out this fact. Changes to the technical specifications mid-season almost never happen, and when they do, they need to be approved by the whole paddock. Ferrari and Alpine went as far as saying that if anyone utilised the changes in the regulations, which allowed teams to fit a new floor stay, they would instantly appeal and expect the FIA to sanction the team as the changes were not legal. It is a well-known fact in Formula 1 that to make it as a team boss, you have to be a strong personality and be willing to stand your ground. Two team bosses in particular come to mind when you think about this: Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. The Red Bull and Mercedes bosses lock heads time and time again during the 2021 season, and now that Mercedes are regularly securing podium places, they seem to be on a collision course again. Remember, all these arguments are framed by the appointment of Shaila-Ann Rao and the apparent Mercedes-favoured proposed rule changes for 2023. For the first half of this year, it appeared that the arguments between Toto and Christian might finally be over, as the Mercedes golden boy Lewis Hamilton struggled to get to grips with the car, despite George Russell not finishing outside of the top 5 this season, the retirement at Silverstone aside. Even with George's outstanding run of form, Mercedes and Red Bull were never in direct competition. But as the year has worn on, Mercedes have managed to get to grips with their car. The two still aren't in direct competition, and the Mercedes isn't quick enough to challenge Red Bull yet, but it is getting closer. Christian is worried about Mercedes breaking the rules during the summer break to close the gap further. But before we look at that, let's remind you of how this rivalry reignited earlier in the season. After the controversial technical directive was released in Montreal, the team boss meeting that weekend got very heated. Toto Wolff got incredibly angry when the other teams on the grid protested against the implementation of the technical directive, which had not gone through the normal channels or been agreed on by the proper bodies. One witness said Mercedes boss Wolff lost his shh. Another reported that he went into full Abu Dhabi spec, a reference to his famous outburst following Lewis Hamilton's loss to Max Verstappen in the World Drivers' Championship. Wolff completely lost his cool, leaving the other team bosses in complete shock. Christian Horner explained after the meeting why the other team bosses were against the technical directive. What was particularly disappointing was the second stay, because that has to be discussed in a technical forum, said Horner. And that is overtly biased to sorting one team's problem out, which were the only team that turned up here with it even in advance of the TD. So work that one out. Since then, Christian Horner has continued his protest against Mercedes' political moves behind the scenes and lobbying of the FIA for changes. Plans for changes to the regulations for next year are currently being discussed, but the paddock are not happy with the changes or how they've come about. The plans include raising the floor edges of the cars by 25mm, which would result in major changes being required for the 2023 designs. At least 5 teams are understood to be in uproar over the proposal. The teams are believed to be Red Bull, AlphaTauri, Ferrari, Haas and Alfa Romeo. The other side is led by Wolff and Mercedes, who have been the most outspoken in demanding the FIA make changes. Expressing his unhappiness at the situation, Horner told the media, "It's not so much the directive that is the issue. The problem is what they are looking at as the remedy for next year, because the directive is neither here nor there for us. There is an awful lot of lobbying to change the regulations significantly for next year." When Horner's remarks were put to Wolff during a conversation with the media, the Austrian brushed them aside. "I think he's just bored at the front," he commented. I don't know what he refers to because at the end of the day, we're all part of the same circus. We work with the same stakeholders. Lobbying? Is he not lobbying? He sits in his office and he doesn't call anyone. Asked about the threat of rival teams taking legal action over the issue, Wolff continued, "You wonder why they're fighting so hard. I read in the media that it's not relevant, that it's not a big change. So why are they fighting that they're threatening to go legal? No team is ever going to go legal against the FIA if the FIA decides to implement something on safety grounds. I think this is just posing." Wolff may have dealt with that problem for now, but of course it hasn't stopped there. And with the summer break approaching fast, Horner has questioned whether Mercedes will abide by the rules or continue their development in an attempt to catch up with their rivals at Red Bull. Horner has brought attention to a comment made by Toto Wolff at the French Grand Prix. He said, "I hear Toto said they're going to do work throughout the summer break to improve the car, which would, of course, be illegal." Article 21.8 of the 2022 regulations state that all competitors must observe a shutdown period of 14 consecutive days during the months of July and/or August. In this period, teams are not allowed to work on the car's design, development, or production, including planning via emails and meetings. There is only a 4-week break between the Hungarian Grand Prix and the Belgian Grand Prix this year. By the time Mercedes have managed to pack away everything after Hungary, takes 2 weeks off, and then unpacks it ready for Belgium, there may only be a week's worth of time to make changes to the car, similar to the length of time on the regular schedule. You can guarantee that if Mercedes come to Belgium with a wide range of upgrades, Red Bull will have something to say about it. Mercedes do have a history of breaking the rules around summer breaks. In 2019, Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff both claimed that the team had worked through the whole summer break to continue their title charge that season. Unfortunately, forcing the whole team to break contact for 2 weeks is incredibly difficult to enforce. In 2019, the FIA was unable to prove that Mercedes had broken the rules despite Wolff and Hamilton telling the media they had. If Mercedes do decide to work through the 4-week summer break this year as well, the other teams and the FIA will struggle to prove it. The summer break rules are kind of like the budget cap rules. The reality of the situation is that the teams probably have the ability to work around them. The FIA may run audits, but how can they possibly audit the work of over 1,000 employees? How can they keep track of the spending of a multi-million-dollar team if the team wants to hide the spending? The truth is, they probably can't. Do you think the Toto Wolff and Christian Horner rivalry is primed to explode again? And will teams break summer break rules to try and get an advantage over each other? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye-bye.